Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I wanted to do the recap of the Verizon news that we heard about yesterday. The announcement that they are going to try to buy Tracfone in a deal worth $6.25 billion. So now everybody's been sitting on the news for about 24 hours. And now I want to kind of see what your guys' input is and opinion is now that you've thought about it. Maybe you have a different opinion now. Maybe you think this is them creating a monopoly on the prepaid side. Maybe you think this could face regulatory issues, especially if there is a Democratic Party that does take over the administration. Could there be a pushback? And I want to hear from you now that you've been able to think about this and see how does this even benefit Tracfone? How does this benefit Verizon? So that's why I wanted to make this recap to kind of hear from you guys in the comment section. But so I think the Tracfone customer really doesn't benefit from this. 13 million have already been part of the Verizon network. The other 8 billion are likely with AT&T or T-Mobile because Verizon didn't make the cut in their area. That's what I'm thinking. I think the network may have been too congested. Verizon may have not just worked there. So I think that's the reason that those customers were not with Verizon. Now, how does Verizon consolidate those customers if their network is still not up to par in these areas? That was a big question that I've been asked. And it's a valid, it's a valid question. It's a valid concern. What if you know that in your area AT&T works and Verizon doesn't? How does that get fixed? That's a very valid question, valid concern in my opinion. Does Verizon consolidate all the customers and just say, hey, we're going to give you a Verizon SIM. Even if you're on the AT&T or T-Mobile network, you're now going to be exclusively on the Verizon network because we just bought Tracfone. So there is a potential churn that's going to happen. There's customers that are going to churn out. That is a fact. It's a given. It's going to be high. So that's what I'm thinking. The customers that will be given a Verizon SIM that are on AT&T and T-Mobile and know for a fact that Verizon doesn't work, they are automatically going to leave. They're gone. They're going to another provider. They're going to look at MVNOs. They're going to look at other prepaid. Whichever network they're on that works in that area, that's likely the prepaid option that they're going to go with. Or they might go to postpaid, who knows. But that's what I'm thinking. So there is going to be churn of those 8 million customers that are on the other networks. Some of those customers are going to churn where Verizon doesn't work well. So that's one thing. Another thing, I personally believe there is an opportunity here for Verizon to migrate some of those Tracfone customers over to postpaid, like the traditional way that all the other prepaid and postpaid carriers have done it. Hey, you've made your payment on time for 12 months. Come on over to postpaid. This is the deal that we can offer you. Not saying that they're going to force them out of the prepaid, but they're going to make an attractive offer to the customer to say, hey, look, if you so choose to move over to postpaid, you can do so, and we're going to give you this deal. So I think that's another opportunity for Verizon here to convert some of those customers to an even higher ARPU on postpaid for them. I've seen it plenty of times. I used to work for Radio Shack back in the day. We used to have customers come in. A lot of them didn't want to sign up with prepaid right away. What happened was we had a credit check tool that was able to check credit for all the carriers at once. If all of them came back with a high deposit, that means the customer doesn't qualify, so then they move over to prepaid. That was a very likely scenario that happened. I rarely had a customer that came in asking for prepaid right off the bat. They wanted postpaid, they didn't qualify for it, or they didn't want to pay the high deposit. So then they moved over to prepaid, and that's how they kind of ended up on the prepaid side. But a lot of those customers that are on prepaid did look into at least going to postpaid at some point. And I think that's what I'm saying. This is a really good opportunity for Verizon to convert some of those customers that did originally look into go on postpaid, but didn't meet the requirements. So that's what I'm thinking. I think there's an opportunity there, for especially for some of the customers that were looking at postpaid first, but ended up on prepaid. Another thing that I think they need to do is, after looking at some of the plans, they need to consolidate. I think they need to consolidate it under one brand. Maybe Tracfone is the people have been saying they want to. Verizon should rebrand. They may be thinking about it. I don't know if that's such a good idea. I think Tracfone is a well-known name now in the industry. A lot of people know Tracfone. Like, I think it's more known than, like, say, a Visible. I think you've seen it everywhere. You've seen it at Walmart. You've seen it at dollar stores. There's high penetration in the retail space with Tracfone, and a lot of people are familiar with Tracfone. A lot of my ex-coworkers used Tracfone because no other network worked but Verizon in the area where we worked at. So everybody moved to Tracfone, and they got onto the Verizon network that way. So it's really interesting to see how Verizon's going to pull this off. So they expect to close this second half of next year. If it faces regulatory approval, pushback, that could delay that, for one. That could definitely delay that. But I think they are confident that this is going to go through. They would automatically become the number one prepaid option or prepaid carrier, so to speak. They would be at, I think on a nationwide scale, last I saw the numbers, 27.2%. So they would be 2% higher than Metro by T-Mobile. And then there's Cricket, and then there's AT&T prepaid. So there's lots of competition to come from Cricket and AT&T prepaid, but for now, Verizon would take over the number one spot on prepaid with this acquisition. So there could be some regulatory pushback, but it wouldn't go far. I don't think. I don't think this is a big enough acquisition for a regulatory block. But it could happen if there is a Democratic administration in office come November. It could happen, but again, very unlikely in my opinion. So from the consolidation standpoint, some people have asked me if I think that the pricing is going to change. Some I've seen kind of like a mixed feeling about that. I see some that say pricing is going to stay the same. Those customers are just going to get a Verizon SIM and they'll be good to go. But I also see some say that if they consolidate it down to 4 plans, they're likely going to raise the price because the ARPU is... Tracfone's ARPU, average price per customer, is the lowest in the industry across the board. It's $28. It's lower than Metro's. It's lower than Cricket's. But just keep in mind right now, Tracfone has to wholesale this to Verizon, so they have to pay Verizon to allow the customers onto the network. That would no longer be the case because they're now under Verizon. Verizon would own it. So the ARPU, the average price per customer, would go up. It wouldn't be drastic. It would go up slightly, but it would go up some. I'm thinking $31, $32, $33 price range is what the average price would go up to. But I do see Verizon potentially raising the price on this a little bit and giving it unlimited. Although some may not need it, but I think they go the unlimited route. It's just the easiest way to go. Causes less confusion. I've told you guys I've been in sales before on the wireless side. It's really hard to decipher what amount of gigabytes somebody needs. We don't know. I've even had some come in and tell me, I only need 5 gigabytes per month. I'm a low end user. I don't use it that much. And now that there's more and more streaming that can be done on the devices and the networks are getting better. I remember that guy was coming back and saying, hey, I need more. I'm running out. I'm watching this. I'm doing this now because of the streaming. I'm doing it all on my phone. I'm doing Zoom calls. I've heard it all. So it's really hard to place a customer in the right tier when it comes to buckets of data. So it's just much simpler offering them unlimited. just get unlimited. After this amount, you could potentially be deprioritized. And since it's prepaid, you're likely going to be on the lower priority to begin with. But just keep that in mind. I think that Verizon is headed in the right direction competing on prepaid. And that's why I think they couldn't compete on prepaid with their name, because their name, people, perception, when you hear Verizon, they're expensive. So a Verizon prepaid, it just wouldn't work in the market space. People just think it's too expensive. They associate a high cost with the name Verizon. And back in 2017, I believe, when they started rolling out the prepaid only stores for Verizon, they lasted like 2 months and then they closed them. So they just never picked up steam. So I like this approach. Whoever internally decided to do this, Hans Vestberg, his team, it could have been, Carlos Slim with American Mobile. He could have just called them and say, hey, look, this is the deal. 6.25 billion. Give me 3 billion in stock, 3 billion cash. Call it a day. He could have been that desperate for a cash infusion right now, especially the way it's going. So just keep all of that in mind. I just wanted to make this video, the recap, to see how you guys feel now after 24 hours, kind of taking in the news, sitting there thinking about it. Now that there's a regulatory pushback potentially, now that is there a consolidation? Do they still keep Visible and Yahoo Mobile around? Do they consolidate it all under one brand? Who knows? There's lots of opportunity. Verizon has been doing a lot of good the last few months. Disney bundle. We had the Apple One announcement today. That could potentially end up on Verizon at some point. So I think strategic-wise, I think Verizon has it planned out very well. And I think they're going to push this into the market space correctly, knowing the Verizon way. So again, leave all your comments in the comment section down below. If you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end this video now. If you are new to the channel and you're looking for updates, recaps, all that good stuff, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload the content. Also, if you have a Twitter, do follow my Twitter. I do post the videos on the Twitter as well. YouTube has been lagging to push out notifications. I know some of you are getting them on time. Some of you say you're getting them on time, just not watching them right away. That is fine. But I have an abundance amounts of people that text me, that call me, that email me on the daily saying the content is 3 days late. It's 4 days late. Remember, follow my Twitter. I post the videos on there as well. And the push notification on Twitter works way better than the YouTube. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. Now we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.